श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। अयो गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विजये बहुरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभः निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गजाननं भूतगणासेवितं गबुद्धयं बहुवरदारभक्षितमुमासुतं योगविनाशकारणं नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजं। शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। व्यासं विष्णुनप्तारं शक्तेः पत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मतिं वन्दे सुगदातं तपोनिधिं। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधे वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. So we were looking at Vidura neeti last time, and we'll continue that discussion. What Vidura explains to Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra asks Vidura, "What are the characteristics? What is there are talk about the Mahakulam, that is the high families, the families which are considered very high quality conduct and respected families. Okay, so those are respected, very high good fame family. So what are they? What are their conduct? What are their qualities? What are those? Why they are called great families? Vidura says that the families which have which practice or have these 7 things, which are asceticism, self-restraint, knowledge of Vedas, sacrifices, pure marriage, gift of food, that's Annadana. So these 7 things, the families in which they exist or they are practiced, those are the families that's regarded as high. And similarly, these are the high families which do not deviate from the right course, where the deceased ancestors are never pained. So that means you don't do anything wrong, and that's why the deceased ancestors, the Pitrus, they are happy with your conduct. So whatever we do here, it says clearly that if we do wrongdoings, wrong things, wrong conduct, then our ancestors are pained by that. Our Pitrus are pained by that because it has impact on their time as well in heaven, wherever they're spending their time. And it those high families, they never do any such wrongdoings, and they cheerfully practice all the virtues, all the dharmic activities. They do that, and they desire to enhance the fame of their kula, of their family in which they are born, and they avoid all kind of falsehood. So they always tell the truth. So that's what Vidura says. So again, 7 qualities, the 7 things they duly do, or they have these things which conduct wise, they never do anything wrong, and they always tell the truth. He also says that the families that are high fall down and become low. Why a high family becomes low? Why it falls down? Why it degrades? He says that they become low owing to absence of sacrifices. So if one does not do sacrifices, prayers, puja, whatever we do these days, if one does not do that, impure marriages, again, purity in marriages is important. So marrying the person from the same class and all according to all the rules and uh, uh, scriptures, whatever that says, according to that marriage, that's the pure marriages are important. We already saw in Adi Parva explaining of 12 type of marriages, right? So there are some considered as high and some are low. So pure marriages are important, and families fall from high to low by abandonment of Vedas. So that means they do not respect the scriptures and shastras, insult offered to Brahmanas. And those families that insult the Brahmanas, they also fall from high to low. They fall down and they become degraded. And He also says that the high families become low because their members disregarding or speaking ill of Brahmanas. So insulting the Brahmanas, disregarding the Brahmanas, speaking ill of Brahmanas, and appropriation of the what has been deposited with others. So if something has been given to others, especially Brahmanas, and taking that away from them, that results in falling from this high status, from that fame, from that high status and virtue that one attains in the family. That from that one dropped. So he says the families that are possessed of members of wealth, cows, etc., all these things are not regarded as families, great families, if they do not have the good manners and conduct. So, on the other hand, the families who are in need of wealth but have very good manners, very good conduct, they should be they are regarded as the great reputation. They are regarded as high families and they have the great reputation. So again, wealth, cows, all these things are not important to be considered as a great family, but it is the conduct, it is the manners, it is how one behaves and why what one does, what one practices, what are the duties one follows. That's important, and that's what results in a high family, great reputation, great fame. That's why good manners and conducts are maintained in those families with care. And as regard to wealth, it comes and goes. So wealth is not constant, permanent, but conduct, if and manners, if maintained, the reputation that comes is always stays. That's the permanent thing, and that's why one always should conduct in a good manner and good conduct. One should always uh, would have those things, and the families having lot of cows and cattle and wealth and all these things are near, do not regard them as the famed families, but instead the families with good conduct and manners are the high families. So Vidura then says that, tells to Yudhishthira, tells Dhritarashtra that let in our race, our high family. So he says that in our kula, it's again come from Chandravamsha, right? So all the great kings have come through this race. In our family, let there not be somebody who creates quarrels, and let there not be somebody who serves as a minister, and let there not be somebody who does not serve as a minister, and stealing somebody's wealth of others, provoking uh, dissensions among uh, brothers and others, family within the family, deceitful, who is addicted to false behavior, always telling for untruth, and who does not, uh, who eats before serving to rishis, devatas, and guests and other things. Let there not be such a person. Okay, so he is saying that in our family, let there not be somebody who creates the family, the quarrel among the family members, which is he's telling Dhritarashtra that you are doing that. Steal others' wealth. He's telling Yudhishthira's wealth you are stealing. Not provoke intestine dissension. So again, among brothers, you are creating this uh, war between the brothers. Deceitful, false behavior. That's again is telling Dhritarashtra that you have all these things. And he also says that one let should make sure that one does not eat before serving the rishis, devatas, and gods. So this is again important. Always we say that one should serve the brahmanas, devatas, pitrus, atithis before eating, right? So and then only the householder should eat. So Vidura says that let there be always be done in our family before. So he also says that the one who kills brahmanas or entertains feeling aversion towards them. So if one kills the brahmana or hates the brahmanas or impedes or otherwise injures agriculture, uh, let such a person never mix with us. Let we do not have any contact with such person who kills the brahmanas or hates the brahmanas or impedes or otherwise injures the agriculture, so it creates problem for agriculture. Uh, and he says that straw of a seed, so that means darba kusha grass seed made, uh, ground for sitting upon, so it's seat that's readily available to sit upon, water to wash the feet and face, and sweet words. These all things, four things, should always be there in a house. So this is again, let those things always be there in a house. So when Atiti comes, you always that Atiti a seat with darba grass mat on it, kusha grass mat on it, and then you give the water to wash their feet and face, and then sweet words. So offer sweet words to them, asking about, inquiring about their travel or whatever it is, and then serving them food and all those things. So do those things, let that happen in our race. So he says that those people, even though he gives an example, says sandal tree, even though it is very thin, it is very competent to bear lot of weight. Uh, in some cases, thicker trees also cannot do that. That's how virtuous people, even though those high families, always able to bear the weight with care of the ordinary, which ordinary men cannot. So those who, as previously said, doing sacrifices, have control and looking after the guests and brahmanas and things like that, they always can bear the weight. They can always, here weight is all the troubles, anything that comes towards them, they will be always be able to bear those things. Then he talks about friendship again. He already said that let the brahmanas, the person who kills the brahmanas or hates or who creates obstacles for the agriculture, let we not mix with such a person. Then he talks about the friends. So he says that the friend is not a friend whose anger inspires fear. So if a friend's anger creates fear in you, then he is not a friend. Or you have to wait upon that. That means you have to you are very scared of that friend and you have to wait upon that friend, then he is not a friend. But on the other hand, the one where you can discuss everything in confidence, like one does with father, such a person is a true friend. So any other type of friendship is just a nominal connection. You say that we have friends. So today we say a lot of friends, but when what Vidura says is the person where you can go and speak, tell everything in confidence, like one would do with their father or mother. Such a person, if you have one, that's a true friend. And that such a friend actually, even though unconnected by birth, by blood, he is a true friend who is he's a real refuge and he's a protector. So such a friend comes to aid in all the times, and he is the true friend. So the person who has unsteady heart and who does not wait upon the aged people, who does not respect the aged people, who is restless in his dispositions, such a person cannot make any good friends. So success attained, the attainment of success of the objects, anything that one wishes to attain, is never such a person never achieves the success whose heart is unsteady and who does not have control over his mind and who is slave to his senses. That means he could not control his senses, and such a person never attains anything he wishes to do. So if he one tries to attain an object, but his heart is unsteady, that means he's always changing his heart and thinkings, who does not have control over his mind or his senses, such a person never wins anything. So those weak minds that give away to anger or gratified without sufficient cause, so they become very happy without much great things happening. Uh, those are the ones that are called weak minds. and they are like the clouds that are so inconstant. So they come and go, and their minds are so changing, you cannot trust them. And he also says that the person who, if one gives a food to one person and benefited from a friend, but you do not show gratitude to that friend, then such a person's body, even the birds do not eat. So, but if it died in a vacant land somewhere in a field, the birds of the prey, vultures or whatever that's flying over, those also do not eat such a person because he is repulsed by, because of his conduct, who is showing ingratitude towards a friend who has fed him, who served him, who, from whom he has benefited. Right. So gratitude is important. Whether you are poor or rich, you should always honor your friends. So until some service is asked, uh, the sincerity of the friends cannot be known. So Vidura says that whether you are poor or rich, you should always honor your friends, but also friendship, when it is tested, when you ask for a service from that friend, when you ask for a help from a friend, then only the sincerity comes to know whether that's a real friend or not. So then Vidura again says that sorrow kills beauty, sorrow kills the strength, sorrow kills the understanding, sorrow brings on diseases. And he also says that grief, instead of helping acquire something, it dries up the body and makes one's enemies very glad because you are in grief and you're struggling. Therefore, he tells Dhritarashtra, do not yield to grief. They, because men are repeatedly die and are reborn, we are continuous in cycle of birth and death. So repeatedly, every time one get born, they always grow and die away. So repeatedly, we always ask for others to help, and always they repeatedly, we always lament, we cry, we lamented, we again cried over. So happiness, misery, plenty of, and want, gain, loss, life, death, all these things are shared by everybody. So there is no difference. So don't worry, don't be sorrow, grief stricken here, thinking about what's going to happen. Do the right thing. So Vidura tells Dhritarashtra, therefore, the one that is self-controlled should neither jump in joy or cry in a sorrow situations. So always have senses under full control, and that person always benefits, and he is always the wise one, and such a person always benefits. So such a person escapes from all the pain and everything. So Dhritarashtra then says, Yudhishthira, listening to this, Dhritarashtra says that Yudhishthira is like a fire, he is like an Agni. So, and Dhritarashtra admits here in Vidura that Yudhishthira has been deceived by me. So I have cheated him, and he will surely exterminate in battle all my wicked sons. Dhritarashtra clearly knows that his sons are going to die in a battle if they go to the war. Everything, that's why is in danger, and that's why I'm full of anxiety. I can't think anything. But you have great intelligence. Tell me words that may dispel my anxiety. So Vidura gave lecture for hours now already. Everything he said, don't do all these things. And Dhritarashtra recognizes that he has done wrong, and he recognizes that his mistakes, but he still thinks about the danger to his sons, and he does not recognize why that danger has come from. So he says that I'm full of anxiety, help me. So Vidura then says that nothing else than knowledge, asceticism, uh, and nothing else than controlling the senses, nothing else than complete abandonment of avarice, greed. I do not see anything else in your good. So it says that knowledge and asceticism. So that is again vairagya, sannyasa. That's good for you. Acquiring the knowledge is good for you. Controlling your senses is good. And greed abandonment. That is good for you. Nothing else. So fear is dispelled by self-knowledge. So Atma Jnana is removes all the fear because once one has that Atma Jnana self-knowledge, it does not excited by happiness or cried when there is some uh, bad events happening. So such a person is never in any fear. Again, by asceticism, one wins what is great and valuable. So again, that self-knowledge comes through asceticism. So he says that what is great and valuable comes through that. And by waiting upon the seniors, learning is acquired. So again, by to become sannyasi, to go to the sannyasa, one should wait upon the learned people. And by to by peace, one gains the self-restraint. Again, to go to gain that learning, one should have the self-restraint and control over the senses. So that comes from once you have this self-control, then peace comes. So learning and from that sannyasa, from that self-knowledge, and then the fear goes away. So he says that knowledge is important, sannyasa is important, control of the senses, and abandonment of the greed. These are the things you should focus on, and those are the things that going to remove your anxiety. So those who desire moksha without having acquired the merit, give up acquired merit that comes through by giving dana, or that is what by practicing the rituals of Vedas. So one who does not give dana or the merit that is not acquired by giving dana or by doing the rituals of Vedas, the sacrifices and things like that, or going through the uh, uh, Tirtha Yatra and other things, those people are never freed from the anger and things like that. The happiness uh, may come from study, that is the study of the Shastras that said, from a battle fought virtuously. So again, not just fighting a battle, but fought virtuously, so as per the rules, and from sannyasa, austerity is performed rigidly. Those things, the happiness always increases at the end. So that's those happinesses are permanent, and that's always stays with one. Vidura then says that those that are no longer in peace with relatives obtain no sleep. So again, even if one has a well-made bed, uh, they do not require pleasure, uh, any pleasure from women, or if somebody singing praise about you, nothing comes to them uh, if they are not peace with the relatives. So you're telling Dhritarashtra that make peace with Yudhishthira because he is your relative, and such a person who does not have peace with relatives can never practice virtue. Happiness can never be theirs in this world. So whether it is honors or they will never have a peace, honor, or charm. They will have nothing in this. So that's why make peace with Yudhishthira. So they never acquire again what they want or never succeed in restraining what they have. So they never succeed in retaining what they already have. They never succeed in acquiring something. They never, on the other hand, they such a man, they always end up in destroying everything. So just as milk comes from the cows, uh, asceticism in brahmanas, inconsistency in women, the fear is possible from relatives. So again, Vidura says that even though relatives if we don't have peace with relatives, then there is no sleep. At the same time, he also says that there is should be fear from relatives. So just like when lot of threads collected together, it becomes a very strong rope kind of thing, and we can pull heavy things and lift a lot of things. But a single thread cannot do anything on its own. Just like that, when the relatives, everybody together, it's that family entire the person benefits from it. So those who uh, do not do that with the relatives, they fall off and they suffer from that. So again, those who do not uh, look after the brahmanas, women, relatives, cows, all these, they soon fall off. So he again says that in a if a tree standing on its own, even though if it has huge trunks and giant roots, standing on its own in a field, it's going to suffer from the wind. But if there are a lot of trees grown close together, even though they are weak, they will withstand a huge wind. So that's why it's good to have the relatives. Again, by mutual dependence and mutual aid, they grow together like a lotus stalks in a lake. So again, lotus stalks, if you see where lotus grown, lotus stalk is very weak. So it does not stand on its own if it is there is only one plant. But if there are a lot of lotuses, it stands because it's supporting one another. So just like that, mutual dependence and mutual aid between relatives is good. And these must, then he says that these must never be slain, killed. So that is brahmanas, cows, relatives, children, women, and those food you have eaten, and those that come asking for protection. So these should never be killed or hurt or injured without. Uh, so again, he again goes on to telling about the anger, and so he says that the anger is kind of bitter, pungent, acrid, hot drink, painful in its consequences. So it's not good. So you swallow it up, and then you will obtain the peace. So anger one should control, and from that one gains the happiness, and from happiness comes the wealth, and sorrow is removed from that. So he says that seeing Draupadi previously when she was won at the dice game in that Sabha, Dyuta Sabha, I told you before these things, avoid deceit in play. Therefore, you should have stopped Duryodhana, but you did not do at that time. Now, however, act according to my, you did not do as I asked you to do at that time. Uh, so, on the other hand, so now you are going to face because of that the troubles you are in, this anxiety is coming because of that. But on the other hand, uh, if you have gone with that, the strength with softness, if you have shown kindness to that time, that's the true policy you should have pursued. Prosperity comes to those depend on strength and kindness, softness, and descends on to sons and grandsons and everybody. So one should always go for those things. He says that the Pandavas are like your sons, cherish them, protect them, give them their kingdom, and live together happily and prosperously, live with them. So today, the Pandavas are yours, take care of them. So Vidura says that Manu has told that there are 7 kinds of men that uh, 17 kinds of men that uh, who do not uh, so Manu has said that there are 17 kinds of foolish men. So they are, so Vidura says that they are the one who seeks control of the person that's incapable of being controlled, the one who is content with very small gains, the one who humbly pays court to enemies. So he always goes and does whatever the enemy asks him to do. The one who seeks to restrain woman's frailty, uh, and the one who asks him for gift who should never be asked. So again, asking, there are rules on what gift one should ask and one can ask. So again, going and asking everything, that should never be done. And the one who boasts having done anything, so again, proudly speaks about it, done something, such a person is considered as a fool. The one who born in a high family does an improper act, such a person is a fool. The one who is weak always goes for quarrel, fight with the powerful people. The one who talks to a person, listening, uh, who is scoffingly, so that mean again the person who does not uh, respect others and things like that, who always makes friends with such a person, is a fool. The one who desires to have that which is unattainable, so something you cannot have, will never achieve, but you would desire to have those things, such a person is a fool. The one who being a father-in-law just with daughter-in-law, so again, so this is father-in-law's relationship with the daughter-in-law is like a daughter, and anything else is a fool. And the one who boasts of having his alarms dispelled by his daughter-in-law, again, so by taking help of daughter-in-law is not great. The one who scatters his own seeds in another's field, so that means he has children with another woman. The one who, this again can be taken literally, meaning that means you go and sow the seeds in someone else's field, and when the crop comes, it becomes theirs. So the other meaning here is having children with another's wife or someone else's wife. So he who speaks ill of his own wife is a fool. So this is a lesson to all the men, I guess. He who having received anything from another says that he did not remember. He who having given away anything, words at holy places, again goes home and proudly speaks about whatever is given. So again, dana given, one should never speak. Dana received, one should never forget. So he who strives to prove the truth of what is false. So all these things, all these people who are considered as the fool and the envoys, the Yama's messengers with nose in their hand, drag this person to hell. So he tells Dhritarashtra that these are the fools and don't be one of them. One should always behave towards another in just as the other person behaves towards him, but one may behave decidefully uh, towards him that behaves decidefully, but honestly to him that is always honest in his behavior. So if one decidefully behaves towards you, again, in this discourse itself, Vidura has told that if even if one hurts, never hurt another person. But he also says that in some situation, if one decidefully acts towards you, you can. But to an honest person, you should always behave in honest way. So old age kills beauty, patience kills uh, patience, hope, death kills life, practice of virtue kills worldly enjoyments, lust kills modesty, uh, companionship with the wicked kills good behavior, anger kills prosperity, pride kills everything. So don't have that pride you have that you are the king. So it tells Dhritarashtra, don't do this. So Dhritarashtra then says that in Vedas, it is said that men having hundreds of years of life. So what is the reason then not everybody lives that long? So questions coming from Dhritarashtra is shows that his anxiety. He's asking Vidura all these valid questions, but he's just asking so many questions. He's now thinking about his son's life, right? So he knows that his son's life is in danger, and he's thinking. Everybody says that live 100 years, but why people are not living 100 years? He suddenly asks Vidura, tell me why people are not living their allotted time. If everybody is allotted 100 years equally, why people die? Some people die early. Why some people live so long periods? So the question coming here from Dhritarashtra, again, even though he's asking something, he's always in the back of his mind, he's thinking about his children. His children, he knows that if there is a war, and he knows that there is going to be a war because he can't stop it, he won't stop it. So there is going to be a war, and his all children will die. So what is the reason for somebody getting early death? He says that excess pride, Vidura replies that excess pride, excess in speech, in eating, anger, desire of enjoyment, intestine dissensions, all these are six sharp swords that cut the period of life. So pride, again, excess speech, excess in eating. So that's again interesting one. So everything else we have seen already. Excess of eating also Vidura says that cuts the life. So again, uh, the one who appropriates himself with the wife of another person, wife of one who has confided in him, the one who violates the bed of his guru, the brahmana who becomes the husband of a shudra woman or drinks wine, the one who commands brahmanas or becomes their master or takes away the land that supports them, and the one who takes the life of those who ask for protection, all these are guilty of brahmana hatya. So the one uh, again, so I think some of this has already come. So Brahmana drinking or alcohol, or having Shudra's wife, woman as a wife, or the one who is abusing Brahmanas, taking away wealth. All these things already come as a Brahmana Hatya. I think previously we have seen, and we, we so there are few others already mentioned in the last time as well. So the Vidura says that any contact with such persons requires expiation. So one should do expiation if one spends have contact as makes friendship with any such person. So again, that's why those who have Brahmatya dosha always excluded from all the rituals, and they are barred from the villages in the olden days. So the one that accepts I think we'll look at one again. He says that the one that accepts the teaching of the wise, then one is acquainted with the rules of morality, the one that is liberal, then one that hates, having first dedicated everything to Devatas, Pitrus, guests, and everybody, the one that is envies nobody, and that is incapable of doing anything that injures others, uh, and that is grateful, the one that is truthful, humble, learned, succeeds in attaining the heaven. So on the other hand, again, teaching, learning, giving the food away to all the everybody, liberal person, truthful, humble, learned, such a person attains the heaven. So we'll continue the rest of the Vidura's discourse next time.